fact that God is letting you see all these pictures of everyone in heaven rejoicing and having a great time for eternity, and also letting you feel that you will never be able to be worthy of any of this greatness ever for eternity, times a million.
Tonight, we're going to be looking at a message for all atheists. This is a message that all atheists absolutely need to hear from a cartheist. Apparently, he couldn't schedule enough time for this very important information for him to record it properly at home, in his bathroom or something. He had to do it in his car. So we're going to be taking a look at whatever message that he has for us. I'm sure that it's not just going to be a bunch of Jesus preaching, but we'll see. If you want to fuck around and find out what this very important message is that just couldn't wait, so he had to film it in his car, then please stay tuned. What's up, heathens? How y'all doing? I'm the Godless Engineer, and I critically analyze apologists' claims to give you the best arguments and information so that you can stand up and use your voice. Tonight's video is from this guy right here. Like I said, he didn't bother to actually record this properly, and apparently this was such an important message, he got struck by God on the way to work, and he just felt compelled to share this very important message at this particular moment in time. I can only imagine that it's the most important message that we could ever hear from a theist, because they're risking life and limb of not only themselves, but other people while they're out on the road. So it's either got to be important or this guy's just a dumbass. I'm betting on the latter, but hoping for the former. I doubt that the former is going to be true.
Good morning, good morning. This video is not for the saved. This video is not for the Gentiles, the Jewish, the Muslims, to whoever feels like they are a part of the kingdom of the one and only true God, the God of the Bible, Yeshua. And again, this video is just not for the saved. This video is for all the atheists out there, the God haters.
I'm sorry, I gotta stop right off the bat here, because we're not God haters. Like, I don't hate God. I mean, I might hate some people that supposedly represent God. I don't know if I'd go with hate for like people like Joel Osteen or somebody I strongly dislike. But I feel like saying that I hate God is a lot like me saying I hate the fact that unicorns get to ride in the carpool lane or something like that. Like, I hate unicorns because of some reason. It just seems weird to hate something that you don't believe in. Like, I don't hate leprechauns. According to Casey, leprechauns are delightful. If you've ever watched the Leprechaun horror series, you're not going to watch the Leprechaun horror series? It's got Jennifer Aniston in it. As an atheist, I don't hate God. I don't believe in God, so I don't hate him. Now, I dislike the character in the Bible, because I feel like he's definitely a piece of shit, right? But I don't hate anybody in that kind of way with respect to God. Right. Good point there, Casey. It's not just about his God. He's very specific to his God. You know, he said very specifically it's to the people that are saved, or this video isn't for people who are saved, meaning that don't believe in, or for people that already believe in his God. So it's not about his God. It's about a God in general.
It's a warning to all the atheists of the world. Make this viral. Like, share, subscribe to my channel, subscribe to my channel.
I mean, does the whole subscribe to the channel work like you're saying Bloody Mary in the mirror? Like, if I go subscribe to my channel, subscribe to my channel, subscribe to my channel, will that cause people to subscribe to the channel? Because I mean, I'll do that if that's what it takes, but I mean, I just don't understand. Also, this is so important that he's got to make this video and tell people to make it go viral and to subscribe to his channel. So glad that he did this.
If you want more content, I got great things coming. I have merchandise coming.
I sincerely doubt the promise of great content. If this is the caliber of content, I don't think it's going to be great.
There's a warning to all the atheists of this world. A warning. How can I? I'm just gonna say it.
Please, fucking just get it out already.
There's a shadow being cast on this earth.
Like the moon shadow? I mean, there's not an eclipse or anything. Like what there's a shadow being cast on this earth? I don't know what in the fuck you could mean if there's not an eclipse going on right now. That's the only shadow that I know of that could be or has been cast upon the earth. I guess I was thinking more of like the earth, like total, not just like people on the earth. Of course, if you go outside, you stand there, there's going to be a shadow cast on the earth, but I was thinking more of a grand scale because he's like, there's a shadow being cast on the earth. I'm thinking like there's something outside of the earth that's casting a shadow on it. Is it metaphor? Okay, it might be metaphor. We'll have to see. You know what? If it's metaphorical, I know exactly what shadow it is. God's dong. It's God's dong being cast upon the earth.
And it's not just hate. It's not just crime. It's not just blasphemy. It's not just false teaching. It's not just false doctrine. It's all of that combined into one thing. And what that one thing is a darkness of a void that will consume you for all eternity.
What does that mean? That it's a darkness of a void that will consume me for all of eternity? I don't know what it means for this darkness or void to consume me. I'm not exactly sure what that's supposed to mean. I mean, KC says that I'm empty, apparently. And I mean, I don't have to shit right now, but I'm sure I'm brewing something up, you know? So I'm not empty. I'm guessing what he's talking about is that we're all consumed by the dark hate that fills the world without God. And, you know, I find that there's a lot more hate in the Bible than people think. God just hates people for not believing in him. I mean, that's pretty dark and grim, if you ask me. At one point in the Old Testament, he opens up a sarlacc pit so that it can eat a bunch of Israelites. I don't understand what he means by, you know, this darkness consuming me. If anything, darkness has seemed to have consumed the Lord.
At the last trump, when God divides the flock, when God divides the good sheep and the bad sheep, our darkness, a void that I experienced, that God let me experience so that I could be able to make this video. God let me feel the darkness of the most darkness of void, the most emptiness, the most empty feeling, the most love suppressed feeling.
I get his colorful language that he's using right now. I don't know what kind of struggles he's been through, but apparently he feels like God made him go through those struggles, made him go through that dark time in his life, I guess, and he feels consumed by darkness. I'm wondering if maybe he's projecting this darkness onto just like everybody else. Well, everybody else that doesn't believe in a God, because for him, believing in God sort of chase that darkness away, apparently. And he doesn't understand how other people could not be consumed by this darkness without God.
Oh, you think darkness is your ally? You merely adopted the dark. I was born in it, molded by it. I didn't see the light until I was already a man.
But there's multiple different ways in which to handle whatever kind of darkness you feel taking hold on you. You know, you going through a rough time in your life. There's several different ways to handle that, and it's just, I feel like it's so telling whenever somebody projects, you know, what worked for them or what they're going through onto everybody else.
Like, when you say you have no chance and there's no way, times a million. And also, there's no one there watching you or wanting to times a million, not even God. And in your mind, what keeps resonating in your mind and in your heart is the love that you had for your family and how nobody really cares about you, times 100 million.
I know, like, what is this fascination with multiplying things? I get what he's trying to say, but I really don't know how to grasp the concept of, like, feeling alone and then multiplying that by a million. Maybe I'm just weird, possibly, but I don't understand what it means to multiply a feeling by a million, because there's just no way for me to know exactly how that feels. Oh, it's like, I think he brings up infinity. It's like infinity times 100 million or something is what he's going to say here in a minute. I get the feeling of like the different intensities of like depression. I get those feelings. Okay. I get how intense those feelings can be. But when you tell me times a million, it just screams to me sort of like an immature outlook on these, or an immature understanding of these feelings, like emotionally immature, because you can't just say times a million and have that mean something to somebody.
The fact that God is letting you see all these pictures of everyone in heaven rejoicing and having a great time for eternity, and also letting you feel that you will never be able to be worthy of any of this greatness ever for eternity, times a million.
Eternity times a million. I mean, I get that he's just trying to emphasize it's the worst, right, by saying times a million. But I feel like there's just better ways in getting your point across than saying something like times a million. So God is apparently giving this guy all of these visions of people happy in heaven.
You're wrong about what happens after you die. It's not an eternity of nothingness. You go to your favourite place in the whole world. And everyone you've ever loved and who's ever loved you will be there. And you'll be young again. You can run and jump like you used to, and dance.
And so I guess he's telling atheists that we will never be able to experience this because we don't believe in God or Jesus. And I mean, I just don't believe that that's a true fact of reality, that we're all just going to be happy in heaven. I mean, not even his Bible says that people are happy and partying up in heaven. Like, they're forever worshiping God in heaven. They're like mindless drones up there just feeding God and his egotistical need to be praised all the time. That's what's happening in heaven. If there's one thing that I know about God that's not happening in heaven, that's having a party. Okay? Nobody's partying in heaven.
Just think about that. Really let that sink in, atheists. You mock a God wholeheartedly that you don't believe in. You hate a God wholeheartedly times a million that you don't believe in.
Okay, I like I said before, I don't hate God, and so therefore there's no way that I could hate God times a million. I don't know what his fascination is with a million, but I don't hate God. Yeah, I mean, I'm not fond of this guy. Like, I dislike his demeanor and everything. Like, when he comes on here, he's like, be warned, atheist. Kind of feels like maybe he should have ended that. Instead of saying atheist, he should have been like, fuckers. And
you try to find ways to discredit him. You evolve in your own thinking, and you hate him even more and make him even more non-existent in your life with whatever it is that you guys do. We all see it.
I don't know how you can make God more non-existent than just being non-existent. I kind of feel like this guy thinks that there are extremes that exist that don't actually exist. Because, like, I don't extremely hate God. I don't hate God at all. But also, like, when we're not mocking God as if he were a real thing and we're mocking him. There are times when I do mock the character that is in the Bible. I never really mock the just general idea of God, really. I do mock very specific definitions of God, like Yahweh. I do that a good bit. So I'll admit to that. Just won't admit to hating God or doing any of these other things to a million.
and it's nothing but hate that you have. It's a uncertainty. It's a faith of uncertainty.
For one thing, atheists don't have faith. Two, I mean, I am uncertain about whether or not a God exists. I'm not uncertain about not believing in a God. I definitely have no uncertainty about his particular version of God. Yahweh definitely doesn't exist. I feel pretty confident in saying that. So I've got a level of agnosticism about the general deity, but other definitions, like specific definitions, I definitely think are not real.
That's why you have a lack of love, a lack of reassurance, a lack of better in your life.
I have a lack of better in my life? I don't know what in the fuck you're talking about. I've got a pretty good life. I mean, we just moved into a new house. It's awesome. It's, for me at least, it's the best house on this fucking planet. I'm getting there. I'm married to a very awesome person. I have a lot of love in my life. I feel very loved. I know that my son loves me. He tells me every day. My wife over there, she loves me. She tells me every day. I tell them every day. I have a lot of love in my life, and she also feeds me, which is a form of love, I guess. But to say that like we have a lack of better, which I feel like he needs to be a bit more verbose when he speaks, because it's like a lack of better in your life. Like, what in the fuck do you mean by this? What do you mean by better? Like, could things always be better? Yeah. But I think that could go for anybody. Like, that is true for everybody out there. At some point in their life, everything could be better. I don't think that he actually knows any atheists or has talked to any atheists about, what they go through or anything like that, because he just seems to be totally ignorant on atheists and atheism.
And all that thought process, all of that in your heart and in your mind is all futile, because I'm sorry to tell you. I mean, I'm not sorry to tell you. He is real. That's the whole thing. You're hating and you're loving to hate on a God that is real, but is not real to you.
No, it's not that I hate a God that is real, that I just don't want to be real or is not real to me. I really wish he would stop saying that I hate God. But I mean, I guess to him, that's the only way that he can make sense of why I'm not convinced of his faith. He acts like the only way to live a happy, successful life is to believe in God. And I don't see that in reality. I feel like he thinks it's that way because his life got better because he started believing in God. And I mean, that could possibly be true. But just because a belief in God helped better your life and a belief in God helped better your mental state, that doesn't mean that it works for everybody. Not everybody out there that's Christian, it's not like they're just all living highly successful lives and are really happy and are loving. I mean, there are several Christians out there that I would peg as doing primarily hate, like being very hateful. If you've ever listened to that fucker Greg Locke, hate just spews out of his mouth every fucking Sunday.
You better look in my eyeballs. We ain't afraid of you, you stinking witch. You devil-worshiping Satanist witch. We cast you out in the name of Jesus Christ. We break your spells. We break your curse. We got your first name. We got your last name. We even got an address for one of you.
I don't know that how you could actually argue that Christianity is about love when you've got people like Greg Locke spitting so much hate out there. Not that Greg Locke represents all of Christianity, obviously, but I mean, he does represent Christianity in some kind of sense. Like he's a very vocal pastor out there that makes a lot of headline news because he's such a dipshit. I wouldn't be so quick as to generalize how everybody should feel or generalize everybody's experiences with either depression or troubling times in their life, like rough times. I wouldn't generalize all those things because everybody experiences those things differently.
So more people, let's say there's 8 billion people in the world. Did you know that at least 5.2 billion people believe that there is a higher power? then
So what the fuck? I don't care. I don't care how many people believe in the number of pink leprechauns. I don't care how many people believe in the Loch Ness Monster. I don't care how many people believe that aliens have visited us and have probed our anuses.
Stupid ass, I don't give a fuck, I don't give a fuck, I don't give a fuck, bitch, I don't give a fuck about you or anything that you do.
I don't believe how many people believe these things. I believe when evidence causes me to believe, or when I become convinced by evidence. Like, that's the point, when I start believing. And your God just simply doesn't have any evidence to suggest that he does exist.
I'm not saying that all these people are right with the God they believe in, or that believe in the right God, but what I'm saying is that they believe that there is a higher power.
Again, so what? People believe in weird shit all the time. I mean, there's people out there that believe that ghosts exist, and they haunt places, and they always talk English or speak in English.
Hey there, demons. It's me, your boy. I'm standing near your hole.
You have people believing in crazy things. Just because a large number of people believe in something does not mean that that's representative of reality. I mean, he said that, I'm not saying all these people believe in the right God. No. It's not whether or not they believe in the right God. It's a matter of the fact that all these people do believe in a God, and you're saying that that suggests a God exists. Or at least that's what I take away from this particular segment, is like, oh, all of these people out here can't be wrong about a God existing. Yes, they fucking can. And I feel that they really fucking are. Oh, apparently ghosts all speak in English because they have universal translators. Oh, to me. But, the universal translator would translate for any particular, I guess, language and dialect.
All of you are outnumbered. Okay? So,
what is that supposed to fight? I feel like that's a threat. All of y'all are outnumbered, so y'all best step in line before we start kicking ass and taking names.
atheists, I suggest all of you think a little bit harder.
Oh, yes. We need to be the ones to think a bit harder. That's just fucking hilarious right there. I really don't think that we're the ones that need to think a bit harder. I feel like you need to be a little bit more considerate about other people, what they go through, and the fact that atheists don't hate God, even though that seems to be the only way that you can process them not believing in a God, or atheists mocking your definition of a God. So I don't know. It seems really weird for you to tell me to think harder. I mean, I don't have to think harder in order to, I guess, believe in a God. I feel like for me at this point, it would take me not thinking harder in order to believe in a God, because thinking harder about it only pushes me farther and farther away from a God. I mean, if you just look at my progression, I started off just, simply being an atheist, and then I thought harder about shit, and now I'm also a mythicist. I don't believe Jesus existed either. Do you really want me to start thinking harder?
Want a little bit more and reach a little bit higher. That's all I gotta say.
Want more and reach higher? Like, reach higher to tickle God's ball sack? You gotta make sure you really get like a good ball grip going, and then you reach up and you tickle God's ball sack. That's what God really wants, is you to just tickle his ball sack a little bit. Is that the kind of mockery that you don't like there, buddy? Is this the kind of mockery that seems to indicate to you that I hate God? Because I gotta tell you, I'm not gonna tickle the ball sack of somebody I hate. I'm just saying. I know. I'm going so far as to teach you how to tickle the ball sack. You really got to grab it, not too hard, and then you just got to massage it a little bit. This is what you got to do. You're welcome. So I was very unimpressed with this message for all atheists. I don't think that this really needed to be made while he was driving in the car. Major things that are wrong with the entire video, other than being in a car, and him definitely being able to wait until he got home, or at least park, for him to make this video. Atheists don't hate God. I know at least I mock the definitions of God, like Yahweh, just because I used to believe in them. I make fun of them for entertainment value. It's not because I hate God or anything of that nature. I have fun with it. I don't think that's wrong. He wants me to think harder about shit. Really don't think you want me to think harder about this shit. because thinking about this shit only pushes me farther and farther away from God. So I really don't think that's a good piece of advice. But also, I think that if I really wanted myself to believe in God, I would need to think less, because thinking more, like I said, has only pushed me farther away. Also, another thing in this video is he acts like atheists just don't have good lives, or we somehow are missing something in our life and we need God in order to better our positions or better our lives or better things in general. Apparently, without God, you can't reach full potential or something. I don't understand that. I feel like the concept of God, at least as defined by the Bible, which is what he's pushing here, can definitely restrict you in certain ways. And so I really don't think that actualizing how stunningly awesome you can be can really be achieved, at least in a very full extent, by applying the Bible to your life. I think cherry picking it, you could definitely do it, maybe, but I don't think that applying the entire Bible you could. But in any case, very unimpressed with this video. I hope the next message to all atheists is more interesting. I hope that it's an actual message that, you know, I will take to heart. But as far as this video goes, it just seemed like he was blabbering on and on and on times 1,000,000, or times 100 million rather. In eternity times 1,000,000. If you're leaving out right now, I really hope you have a great weekend, and I guess I'll see you heathens on Monday. Don't forget to stand up and use your voice. Bye, heathens.